Now let's move forward to other events that are going on. You know, we have Bam training and everything. Bam has the unification fight with Crawford and everything. Bam is making a legacy throughout the last few years about what he's doing and what he's been able to accomplish, who he's beaten and everything. What continues to drive him?
Well, look, he doesn't want a long career in the sport. He doesn't want a long career. He wants to retire young, enjoy his family. He's already promised his dad and all of us that he'll retire young. So he doesn't want to be taking his time. He wants the best out there. He wants to fight the best. You know, he doesn't get motivated if it's not a big fight, a unification fight. You know, that's the first thing he wants is unifications. If the unifications are not there, then it has to be something that really pushes him to get to camp and do it. If not, he'd rather not fight. You know, his last fight, it was a mandatory, so he was pretty much forced to do it, but it's not something that he really, you know, he was really excited about, you know, his fight against Guevara, you know, which was a decent opponent. He was ranked, he was his mandatory interim champion, so he had to do it. But Bam wants the unifications. He wants, you know, he's getting this unification with Crawford, which is a good fight. Crawford's a dangerous guy. You know, people don't know him and might think, oh, it's going to be easy for Bam because they've seen Bam. But we've been watching Crawford, and Crawford's dangerous. Crawford is probably the most dangerous guy at that division. After that, I'm sure Bam's going to want another unification against Puma Martinez. Hopefully, it's a fight that could happen. If not, 118 is our next step.
For those who recall the Gallo fight, Gallo versus Bam was a very good fight. Should we expect this fight with Crawford to be on par with that or even better?
Look, we don't know. You know, Crawford is coming from, you know, in a position where very few know who he is. He is a world champion, but very few know who he is. So what does he want? He wants to be there. He's training to beat Bam and get that position. So he's, you know, those are the dangerous guys, the ones that have never been out there with big paydays or with big fights, and they want that position. You know, he doesn't have that, so he's probably, like I said, he's probably going to be the most dangerous guy that Bam has faced at 115.
A lot of people don't ever ask these questions, but is there a rematch clause just in case? From what you know.
You know what? It's a unification, so I don't believe there's a rematch clause. You know, we didn't negotiate that when it came to negotiating the fight. So there's no need for a rematch clause. We didn't ask for it, and I don't know if they did, but if they would have probably told me something, or they would have, you know, let me know.
Yeah. Out of the fights that are scheduled that we know of, the big fights, you know, we have Pacquiao Barrios coming, we have Paul versus Chavez, we have Tank versus Roach, the rematch, and Crawford versus Canelo. Out of all of the big matches that people know about, which one are you looking forward to the most?
Well, without counting obviously fights that I'm involved, I would probably say Crawford versus Canelo, because it's a fight that most of the people don't give Crawford a chance because of the size, but he's got skills, man. He's got skills. He's got good speed, good footwork. That's why I do give him a chance.
You do give Crawford.
I do give Crawford a chance, of course. You know, Canelo's last few fights, you know, he does his work. He gets work done, but never does that little extra to please or to. He knows he doesn't need to anymore, so he's just comfortable enough with just securing the win. He became a businessman, and I think that could be something in favor of Crawford, that if he comes out in his best and good footwork, you know, Canelo is flat-footed. He you know, his last fight, especially against the runner, he was throwing one punch at a time. Didn't even try to be aggressive and get him into the ropes, throw combinations of 4 to 5 punches. He never even tried that. So I think at this stage, I am giving Crawford a big chance of maybe pulling it out.
We all know Crawford has amazing skill and ability. We saw what he did to Earl Spence. We've seen his career and everything. As you stated, Canelo, he's been kind of lackluster as of late. Do you think Crawford has the skill enough to bring out the best in Canelo at the same time while Crawford is having the best fight of his night as well.
I think that's why it's one of the fights that I'm really looking forward to, because yes, that's a possibility too. If Crawford starts with his speed and footwork and landing 2-3 punches at a time, which I think he will, I think that's going to bring the best out of Canelo too, to go out there and show the world that no, this small guy is not going to compete with me at this division. So I think it'll bring the best out of both. So that's why I really see it a great fight.
Let's talk even more about what's going on with that fight. It's going to be in the early afternoon, and it's going to be on Netflix. I don't even know if it's Netflix pay-per-view or anything. We've seen live events
early
on
in the
Netflix.
afternoon, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's going to be in the afternoon because I believe it's battling a UFC card, and they don't want to go head up, so they're going to put it a little earlier than they would normally.
Oh, shit.
So yeah, so that's what is going on, and what people are talking about. Yeah, it's going to be an earlier show. What are your thoughts on that, if that were to actually transpire?
Yeah, I didn't even know that, but it's on a Saturday, right?
Yes, Saturday the 13th.
Oh wow. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's gonna be interesting to see. Maybe he'll be fighting like at 4 or 5 p.m. something
like that. Yeah.
Well, not bad, but it's different.
Well, we see the Saudi shows at noon
exactly.
here.
So yeah, it's Saturday. People will travel. Instead of getting there at 8 to the main event, they're gonna have to get there at 6. People do they always get there for the main event. In Vegas, people always show up to the main event only.
Yeah.
So people are just they're gonna have more time to party after. all the fans, all the people, they're just gonna have more time to party after the fight.
True. Now let's talk about fights that people should show up early too. That Pacquiao Barrios undercard.
That whole card is
hilarious.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. The first fight is the Fierro versus Isaac Pitbull Cruz, the rematch.
Yes.
And we saw that on the Benavidez Morel undercard. Right. So how do you think about that fight? What do you think?
And look, I have Fierro in the gym right now. He's training hard. He's getting in great shape. He's got great sparring partners. Same guys that we were using with Pitbull. So Pitbull against Rayo. So Fierro's looking good, man. Fierro's training hard. So it's gonna be a great fight. It's gonna be one of those fights, just like the first fight that everybody's seen.
A lot of people thought he pulled it off that first time.
Exactly. A lot of people thought he pulled it off. So this time, I know Pitbull's gonna be better too, because Pitbull's a hard-working dude, man. Pitbull has the heart and has the balls to go out there and put up performance, because he's done it before. He's done it many times. So that's why I think this is going to be one of the best fights of the night.
To me, the most underrated fight on that card is the next one, and that's Brandon Figueroa versus Joet.
Yes.
Joet Gonzalez. I know a lot of people don't think the name is sexy or whatever. Don't think it's a big name, but it's a very good test for Brandon Figueroa, and also where Joet is at as well.
Man, I don't call it a big test for Brandon Figueroa. Man, I think it's a fucking it's a real fight, man. Yeah. I don't think it's a test for do people? I don't know. Do people
kind of downplay Joet because of that?
Right?
Yeah. They kind of downplay Joet. Because he doesn't have that name. He doesn't have that.
Did you guys see his last fight?
Yes, I did.
Did you guys see Figueroa's last fight?
Yeah, against
I could, I don't bet.
Yeah.
But if I had to, I'd put my money in Joet.
Oh, wow. Because he's coming in as the B-side.
Believe me. Oh, well, yeah, because it's a PBC card. Yeah. He will be the B-side. But nah, man, I could. I put my money 100% on Joet. And I don't know what the odds are, but...
he's definitely the underdog.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so I might have to do that soon when I'm in Vegas. Then.
Honestly, doesn't hurt to put a couple $100.
Exactly, it doesn't.
Because if it's 3-4 to 1, you guys will win.
Oh yeah.
I think Joey's gonna pull it off.
Now the co-main event is also big. It's the Fondora Tszyu rematch. We all saw what happened the last time. Tszyu was preparing for Keith Thurman. Got injured with 2-3 weeks left.
Correct.
Fondora stepped in. He was already on the undercard and pulled off one of the biggest upsets that a lot of people weren't seeing. But some people I knew betted on Fondora and won money on that. But do you see anything different this time? Do you see the fact that Tszyu actually has a full training camp for Fondora, that the outcome may become different?
I think it's going to be a total different story. Look, that cut in the head with accidental cut in the head made the big difference. Tszyu was supposed to win. That was the plan. But since then, Fondora's just got so much better, man. Fondora's his performances have been good. He's just a warrior, and he could make fights so easy for himself if he was just box and keep on, not get hit. But he likes to fight, so he makes fights so exciting. That's why I'm a big fan of his, man. I'm choosing him on the rematch.
Really?
Fondora on the rematch. He's local. He's a great dude. Great family.
Yeah.
I want to see him pull it off.
And then obviously
Tszyu just coming off a great performance, but he had 2 back-to-back
losses,
and he got knocked up pretty bad, and the fight before, so that could also
be a little thing there.
Yeah, a lot of questions there too.
Yeah, because he did just get a win against Joey Spencer.
Yeah,
so.
but Joey Spencer is not, he got a good win, but it wasn't that type of opponent where you could give him all that credit.
And now we have the main event, the return of Pacquiao after 4 years out of the ring and everything against Mario Barrios. Your thoughts on that fight?
Look, I think it's a fight that just because of the card that they put together, it's gonna do really good. The arena is gonna be sold out. People are gonna order on pay-per-view. I think it's gonna do really good numbers because of the whole undercard. I think Pacquiao, went to the I can't say the easiest because Barrios is a world champion, so I can't say he's easy either, man. But it did, if he wouldn't fight against Norman.
Yeah.
He wouldn't fight against Boots. You know what I mean? Because Boots was the champion. Now that he wouldn't have fought against Boots. He would have never fought against Norman. Those guys would have hurt Pacquiao. So he chose Barrios, which also fights for PBC, so made it a lot easier. But Barrios he's young, he's big, he's hungry, he's that performance where we question his, skills, chin, but he has heart, man, he has heart, and Pacquiao's 46, so that's a big difference right there. I would love to see Pacquiao make history and become, the youngest. He already is the oldest welterweight champion.
Yeah.
But 6 years later, he's gonna break his own record. I would love to see that because Pacquiao's a fucking great person, great dude. But I don't see how at 46 he could win. I don't see how he could beat Barrios.
And he's the underdog, también.
I don't see how he can beat Barrios, honestly.
Since you brought up his name, let's talk about that knockout from Norman to Sasaki today. Good Lord.
Insane, crazy, dude. This dude is switch. He could have easily fought over here in the States, but he's not the big name yet. So going to Japan, I'm pretty sure he got a huge payday. And looks sensational. Everybody's still talking about it. He didn't have to be here in the States. Here in the States, it would have been against somebody else that didn't really make a lot of sense, and he would have did the same thing, and nobody would be talking about it. Going all the way to Japan and getting the knockout the way he did, it's got now he's the man at welterweight. A couple more fights, waiting to see who gets the vacant titles. If Woods vacates all those titles, then there's a lot of fights out there for him, man. There's big fights out there for him. So I would love to see him. I don't see Ryan Garcia fighting him. I don't see Devin Haney fighting him.
I was about to bring up that because not only his performance today, but this past weekend we had Hitchens versus Gambosis.
Yes,
we saw Hitchens.
And there's word about Hitchens maybe going to welterweight too. Man, those guys are the real deal. At 47, Norman is going to be hard to beat, man. Like I said, big fights like Ryan or Teofimo maybe moving up. I don't see Teofimo moving up to challenge against Norman. That'd be that'd be fucking a lot of hard if he did.
You think Norman's name is more?
But I see Teofimo maybe doing it before
Devin or Ryan.
No, Devin will never do it.
Do you think Brian Norman Jr. is one of those high risk, low reward type of name fighters right now?
Look, I think it's gonna take a little more time, a few more wins, but I think he's got the skills. Look, I can't compare him to anybody else because he could punch. He's got a good left. Can be a Leonard, can be a Duran, can be a Hagler, a Hearns. But he does have a little bit where whatever it is, he's good at.
Yeah.
He is good at. He's not just a defensive fighter. He's not just a power puncher. He's not just a good left hook to the body punch fighter. He's got a little bit of everything. So I think still few more wins. I think Top Rank is going to do a great job with picking the right fights, picking the right opponents, and making them look good.
Obviously, we see the new gym. We see where we're at. You guys have been here a little under 4 months. How's the change been?
Been great, man. Been great. You know, obviously the fighters are the same because, you know, it's not like, you know, you have a beautiful gym that doesn't bring you new fighters. You know, it is nice to work out in this, and you know, in a gym like this. You know, all the guys are happy there, they love it, but it's the same guys I already had over there. So, it's, you know, the new gym didn't bring me new fighters. I think our work is what brings us the fighters. We can't say that it's the new gym that's bringing me. No, I think it's just our work. But it is very nice to have these guys. You know what I mean? It's beautiful, man. You know.
Yeah, we'd be sweating right now.
Huh?
If we were in Riverside, we'd be sweating right now.
Yeah,
you and I, we are not even working out. We'd be
for
sweating right now.
For sure. And that's the way real, like, gyms are, you know, where it's fucking hot and everything, you know. So the kids get a little more, treated a little bit nicer. But you know, they're all hard-working guys. They all train hard, you know. We're ready for, we got fights every weekend, you know, in the next couple of months. So we just keep the guys busy.
Yeah, you got a couple of fighters tomorrow night in Long Beach.
Long Beach, we have 3 of our fighters fighting tomorrow night in Long Beach. Saturday, we have Brandon Lee fighting in New Jersey, and then the following week we have Uriel fighting on the Jake Paul Chavez card, and we have Cesar Morales, a kid turning pro. We got a kid turning pro. I don't even know where he's at, but he's turning pro. In Rosarito. So, you know, we just keep the guys busy and keep, you know, going week after week.